Record.
All right. Okay, well, good morning, and thank you again for joining today. We have, so this is the webinar part 4 series of our four-part series. So I'm Mark Meyer, co-founder of InScope, and with me today is Kevin Corwin, co-founder of InScope. And today we are going to talk about the work that you are currently doing needs to help you win future work. So we're going to jump right into this. So when you think about what data you need to get from your current projects, it's pretty much, you know, what you did, who did it, how's it going. Think about the request for qualifications or proposals that you get from your clients. Typically it'll be, so, you know, how many, you know, it's a street overlay project. How many street overlay projects did you do? Let's see your staff and how many street overlay projects did they do? And then, of course, and how did you do on your street overlay projects? You know, if you were on time, on budget performance. So you really want to retain this data. What did you do? Who did it? How did it go? So starting with what did you do? And what did you do can be a big category. So it could be the overarching umbrellas. You know, think about, hey, this is a stormwater project, or this is a transportation or a structural, you know, it's healthcare, maybe it's by industry. This is a federal project, and you may want to know how many federal projects have you done. You can also start to divvy it up by tasks. You know, how many final designs have you done? How many plans and specs have you done? The same thing is with just individual project components. How many bridges have you done? How many trails and pedestrian facilities? So there's a lot that can go into what did you do. So you need a way to capture that data, and I'm going to use InScope as the example here on how to capture that data. So if we look at starting with looking at your past projects, and I've got my current and past projects, because a lot of times, you know, you want to know, hey, I'm doing 3 bridge projects right now, and you'll want to list those in your RFPs. But you can use the filters over here to start looking at, you know, for example, programs. Say, okay, I want to see my stormwater projects. And you can start to really pare down your project list. And another filter set here is the tags. Now, the tags, and I'm going to open up my tags so you can see, you know, this is that long list of possible categories or specific things that you performed. And you can tag all your projects with multiple tags. You can tag individual scope elements. So using your tags, for example, you could say, I want to know how many channel stabilization projects I've done. And so, boom, there they are. So it can really, you can hone in on it. And you can see in the tag list here, there's a bunch of other, let me zoom in so you can see that. So you can see, you know, these are channel stabilizations, but it's also cost estimating and construction support, and it just anything else you wanted to tag. So if I went in and said, hey, I wanted to see how many construction management jobs have I done, this stream bank stabilization project will come in because it's also got the construction management tag. So tags are a very powerful way. You can take these sorted sheets here, and you can go ahead and export them to an Excel view, so you can slice and dice it further if you want to. So that
Mark,
is,
if you would mind, click into the tag field as well, because what I think is really, obviously what makes tags really powerful is it's a one-to-many. So in other words, you can have one tag and can be associated to as many project scope elements as you want, as Mark mentioned. But let's say, for example, that you don't want to keep repeating tags or have different versions of tags. Well, if Mark started typing construction management here, for example, you see InScope is automatically going to bring up matches, you know, partial matches to any of that string, so that way users can see, oh, there already exists a tag for this. I can just click it and add it. I don't have to, you know, you don't have the chance. I mean, obviously there's a chance of people still creating an incorrect tag, but which isn't the case with any system. But it's giving you easy consistency, I guess is the way we'll describe it.
yeah, absolutely. And you can see how your tag list here over in the filters can get quite long. So you definitely want consistency. You don't want somebody to accidentally misspell the tag, so they can pick it from that pick list. So yeah, that's an excellent point. So that is the what what did you do here? If we can also take a look at who did it. And going back to the example that we were just looking at on the project list here, let me pull that back up again here. Well, here I'll just pull up a new one here. I just lost my list. Again, you'll want to look at active and closed projects. And you can, as you get your list of projects, you can also sort by project manager. So you can see, if I'm looking at all of my projects here and I want to see which projects was, Tim, the project manager on, I can go ahead and sort by Tim right here. And with the same like program or filter sets, I want to say, well, how many, back to channel projects, how many channel projects was Tim, the PM, on? I can sort through the list here and quickly come up with that. Now that's just Tim, that's just the project manager. So if you want to take a look at who else worked on it, you can look at timesheets. So now I'm in the admin view on timesheets. You can go to, when you just hit timesheets, you'll come up with the standard timesheet entry view. And you can go to admin. And this will allow you to, again, filter by individual employees, by project. You can filter by date range here, and you can do the same things. I want to see right now, this is set just for stormwater. Now, this is filtering the timesheet, so you want to hone in on what you're looking for. And another way, and this will give you literally this long list. And with this list, again, you can export it to a grid. The other thing you can do is go and use your timesheet report. And it does pretty much the same thing. So you've got your, I always choose project billable, but it's whatever the date range is, and it's gonna pull up these projects for you. And you can go ahead and create your report, and it's an Excel spreadsheet. So if we even open up the Excel spreadsheet just to take a look at it here, let me pull it over. Here, there you go. So you can see we've got this long, list of projects and, all of your employees and everything they've done for that date range. So this might be one where you'll go ahead and take your Excel spreadsheet and turn it into something that's sortable. You can make it a table, and suddenly I can say, well, now I just want to sort by, well, who, I could sort by I just want to see, one employee, I just want to see Jenna's jobs. And you can really start to hone in on what everyone's done. Or I could just say, hey, I just want to see this channel stabilization project here, and you can go ahead and sort by that. So it's very powerful. It gives you a lot of, a lot of ways to sort and see what everyone has done on each project.
I think what's cool too is you can build. Sorry, I was trying to get my mute button, but I think what's cool too about that last report, you can basically use that to build the resume descriptions, right? I mean, it's something that you're constantly trying to keep updated as a firm, is your, up-to-date resumes of what activities did people perform on what projects, and this basically feeds right into. You can use timesheet memos. You can use more granular child scope elements that were selected on the project to get a picture of, what's Jenna's experience?
Right. So like for Jenna, for that channel stabilization project, I can sort just, by the channel stabilization project, and I can see, the scope element that she worked on, and I have these descriptions. So it's pretty quick. If somebody, if a marketing person just wanted to look and say, okay, well, who all worked on the project, they can use timesheets for that. And then, oh, okay, Jenna, perfect. I don't want to just list the project. I want to see what she did. She can actually look in and see what exactly Jenna did on the project. So, yep, it's a good point. So the last part, the how did it go? So when we're looking at did you finish on time, on budget? The customers want to know when you're submitting, what's your on schedule performance. They also want to know, they actually frequently ask the question, were there any unique design components, anything that you did that was special or value added, or a particularly complex part? So when you're putting your projects, you want to keep this data, and I put this down here, don't lose your data, because once a project is done, that's when you've got the potential to lose your data. So I really want to talk about project closeout for the next project. So you're moving through the project, maybe you're adding tags as you go, but when you're ready to close out a project, now is the time to really take a look at that closeout performance. And so let's say, I'm going to go ahead and say we've got I want to look at active projects here, and no other filters. And so here are my active projects, and let's say I'm going to close out this MS4 project. So I go to the MS4, it's done. Now everybody's working on it, and typically, everybody's working, you've made your final deliverable, the PM is working with the client, everybody else has moved on to some other project. The client says, that was awesome, thank you very much, please send me your final invoice. And that's the time where you need to make sure you don't lose any data. So this is the time for your PM to go into the project. It's done. I'm going to turn all my chargeables off so nobody can bill to it anymore. And this is where I would go in and say, go into the project information screen and say, okay, so what other tags do I have here? I can go to my grid view here and I can say, okay, so, well, I mean, I chose one that just started, but let's just say you're completed. Right away, I can say, hey, it was on budget. I can see a lot of times if there's an extra here, I put it in my scopes. And so I can see if there's any extras here. I can see that, hey, we got it done on schedule. So there's a lot of information I can pull out of here, and then I can go into my info, and right here, if there's any other tags I want to add, we also did this, different things, but I can add a tag on time. That's a tag that we may want to add. And so all projects now, as I'm closing them out, I say, hey, they're on time, and I can do that as a tag. The other thing I can say is on schedule. And now I've got that tag. So as I'm closing out projects, if I want to see, what's your on time on schedule performance, I can look just at my on time on schedule tags versus all of my projects and just see how I'm doing. The other big piece is this description here. So, MS4 services, I might want to say I did field work, I did, maybe I did a presentation, whatever you did in here. That kind of describes what's unique or different, or just the services you provided. So as you're closing out the project, before you go in and before you hit, close project, go ahead and make sure in your info screen that you've got the proper tags and you've got the proper descriptions.
I think a good thing to put in the description field too for the project, of course you could do this on the scope elements as well, but because right, I mean, every client is always interested in this. Well, what was your engineer's estimate compared to bid price, compared to finished construction?
Right.
Those kind of three key metrics are always, beginning estimate, bid results, and then final construction cost, because they want to know, well, how many change orders occurred. Not that change orders may or may not be the responsibility of the result of the designer, but it's just metrics that people want to know, right?
Right. Absolutely. And the final kind of item that I wanted to mention is that project setup. So, you know, when you think about project setups and you think about you know, we've got these predefined scopes of services. We can here. I'm just going to pull it back up here. So if I go to my projects and I go to my pursuits. So within the pursuits, you can establish templates. And we talked about templates in previous webinars, but one of the things that you can set up in your template, like if I may have a template for MS4 services or whatever, you know, if you're constantly doing DOT bridges, you may have a template for the DOT bridges. And other than having the scope already in there and maybe even having some budget preloaded in there and some schedules preloaded in there just to help you move forward with your project, you can, in your template, start to preload your tags. You can also preload some of the verbiage maybe that you want to use to highlight what you're doing. So that'll be there automatically for your PMs. The only thing I would say is when you are preloading, you may have different scopes of services and you may put your tags on individual scope items in your template. So if you're not doing a report, you can just delete this scope item and then that tag goes away. And that way you don't have tags in there that hold over from your template all the way to the end. But template's a great way to set up your descriptions and just sort of have those markers for your PMs to remember to fill this in at the closeout. It also presets your program. It presets some of the obvious tags, you know, like MS4. So you've got that. And that is pretty much it for today. Pretty much when you're going through, when you're setting up your project, you can start immediately by setting up your tags and your program markers. And then as you move through the project, don't lose your data. Typically, the tags are set up at the end of the project and everything that's part of the closeout routine. However, if you have a heads-up project manager, they could be adding tags as they go. If they add some additional services, they can tag it. Oh, you know what? We want a pedestrian bridge as part of this project. And okay, here's the pedestrian bridge. They put it in the scope and they can tag it right there with the pedestrian bridge. So you can really build it as you go. And the whole, I guess, point is not to lose the data, because once the project's closed, once you hit close project, it's a thing of the past and nobody's thinking about it anymore except for the marketing people. And they're going to go in there and they're going to pull it up and they're going to say, well, what did, you know, they're going to want to know, what did you do? Who did it? How did it go? So,
I think another important aspect of, and where InScope again can really help, is one of the most common things I see on RFQs. What clients are seeking, they want to know, well, what are your quality control measures internally, right? As a firm, what's your project management approach, or what's your project management tools? They want to know what do you do as a firm? Well, InScope can really be the basis of that system, right? I mean, you described systems, and I think that's always a positive thing to talk about in responses as well, or particularly responses on those types of questions. What's your quality control measures? What are your project management, systems internally? And you can basically describe what you do. Well, we use templates and we have a structure. We have pre-built checklists that we use with our templates. We keep all of our project schedules in one spot, right? I mean, you can describe these things and the system that you use internally as part of your helping you win more work, right? So again, that's the whole idea. The work you're doing and the way in which you do the work and the way in which you leverage your systems helps you win more work, because that also gives, would-be clients confidence that you have a systematic way of going about organizing and executing your project. So I think that's another really important aspect to this idea of, the work you do helping you. And and really the way in which you do your work helping you win more work.
Absolutely. All right, well, that's all we have for today. I guess, are there any questions? All right, well, hearing none, thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you at future webinars.
All right, thank you.